Hello, my friends. Nice to see you again. Let's see. There we go. I apologize for last week. I had terrible migraine. I have a cold and something just with the neck, and yeah, I'm sorry. I rarely miss the meditations. There has to be something special or something really bad. Hey, Sue, nice to see you. And you too, Nadia. So I missed it. I really felt, I wish I could have gone. Hi, Mats. Nice to see you as well. I'm happy that I'm feeling better today so that we can do a sitting. Hey, Andres. Nice to see you. How's everyone? Had a good weekend? Something nice happened? I learned a new word that I think is amazing. It's just such a good word. I hope I say it correctly. It's called the shitification of things. I listened to a podcast of how AI was... Well, not just AI. Well, it was about AI, but they were basically talking about the shitification of products. So Google started out with having best service for searching for things online. They had really good service. They conquered everything out. But then gradually they've just been shitifying it. So it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And now Google is just not really the best place to find stuff anymore. There's just advertisement. Hey, Catherine. I feel better now. It's okay. I feel better. I mean, I hope I get through this cold as well. I mean, I will get through the cold, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, the shitification. So I found it really interesting how that is a thing that they they produce a good product, but then when they gain kind of a monopoly, then it gets worse. And it made me think of spirituality and spiritual practice. So I think there's a serious case of shitification of spiritual practice. Hey, Neela. I think I've seen you before. I recognize the name from the Netherlands. Have you been here before? I think so. So, in my view with... by the way, if anyone has any topic that comes to your mind, please share it and we'll discuss that. I just listened to this earlier today, so I thought it'd be a fun thing to talk about. So, basically, if you think about it, when... most of you here are here for meditation and you have some inclination towards Buddhism, or at least have had contact with Buddhism, because Buddhism has a strong culture of meditating. Yes, I thought I recognized you. So, at the time of the Buddha, to me, it is very clear that there were two different ways of approaching practice. There was the monastics who dedicated their lives to practicing meditation and to developing their minds to overcome this thing they call suffering. That part seems to mostly have kind of been overshadowed by the thing that have become popular, which is what they recommend to lay people to do, or the basic teachings of things of how, but actually really getting into the idea that you need to practice has kind of disappeared, because the teachings of the Buddha are so wonderful, they're so special, and they're so amazing that you just need to learn them. That's the thing. So they've placed a higher emphasis on knowledge of information than actual practice. I'll get back to dating later, Mats. That's a good topic. And I think that's happening in even worse now. So I think it's something that's been going for a long time, in that there used to be a lot of people who practiced, and really they placed a heavy emphasis on actually practicing this stuff. And I think many monastic orders and many other traditions they had in the olden times, the people who taught this stuff were people who have meditated for decades, long periods of time. And then they share that knowledge and their interpretation of the text. Nowadays, with YouTube and other places, it's basically anyone who has a spiritual experience goes out and shares their thoughts about everything, and anyone can get any information. I mean, you have more information at your fingertips than any spiritual master 100 years ago. No one had access to what you have. Even just 30 years ago, no one had access to what you do. Like any one of you. You can just go on online and you can find anything. You even have AI who can summarize all of that stuff and give you the knowledge in structured form, telling you what to do and the best methods. And that makes us believe that since we have the information, we know what it means. And not what it means like reasoning, but that we have the benefit of it. It's kind of like saying to shoot a what you tell, like, when you shoot basketball and you throw a three-pointer. I'm not a sports guy, but let's say we throw a three-pointer. All you need to do is you need to stand out of that ring, like the semicircle, and you need to throw it, and you just need to push with your arm like this and make sure that there's a certain angle, and then it goes in like that. Like, okay, yeah, no, I know how to make a three-pointer because I know the techniques, I know what needs to happen, I know how to do it, I know that I need to push with this arm and preferably make a little jump at the same time so I can make it go further if I'm not strong enough. So I understand this. If you know that information, that doesn't mean that you can shoot a three-pointer. I mean, not consistently. You might be lucky, but that doesn't mean you know how to do that. It might be a bad analogy, but in the same way with information and knowledge about what we do, you don't need any information. There's so little information you need. What you need is practice. What you need is applying it to your life. The reason I talk so much about everything is because I try to give you different angles, but ultimately what it all boils down to are some very, very few concise points that you need to do according to my practice. And then there are other practices who practice other things. And we all have different goals and outcomes that we try to do. But the shittification of spiritual practice has become that we sell knowledge instead of experience. Kind of, it's become this thing where people want to give away all these techniques and special techniques, and you have one meditation technique for that. I mean, you don't need much stuff. You already know all you need to know. I mean, anyone who's here, you know what you need to do. It's just that it's so damn difficult to do it that we need to hear from many different angles. We need to talk about it. We need to have some experiences, have someone help us. Okay, what does that experience mean? How do I actually apply that into actual practice? And what when I run up to this obstacle? So there's, of course, lots of things that we can run into and where it can be useful to have someone to help you. But ultimately, the problem with spirituality today is that people believe it's about knowledge. And we spend so much time learning stuff, listening to podcasts in the back. When you're walking, you listen to a talk by the Dalai Lama or Eckhart Tolle, or even my stuff. I mean, obviously my stuff is worth listening to. I'm just kidding, it's the same thing there. If listening to me takes you away from experiencing reality as it is around you right then you should spend more attention on reality around you, not listening to me, because you're actually doing what I'm telling you to do, which is spend awareness and be focused on your experience of reality. Sometimes we need a little push and we need a little help, but ultimately you don't need information. So yeah, I thought that was, in my mind, that's the shittification of spirituality, is that it's gone from the idea that you actually had to practice and do stuff yourself, and like, it's quite serious stuff. It's quite difficult to go through all of this. It's not just like an easy process in and of itself. You have to come up with all these things and objections and things that you run into, but if you do, it's incredibly rewarding and life is so much more enjoyable. Oh my goodness, it's difficult to explain the difference it's made in my life and how much easier life is, even though my life circumstances are much more complicated now than they were a few years ago. So let's see, Mats is saying, I had a date on, by the way, if anyone has any thoughts on that, feel free to share them. I had a date on Sunday, third Sunday date with a different woman in a row. God, Mats, oh my goodness. Starting to get burned out because these are very nice women, but I can't envision more with any of them. Oh, interesting. It sounds like the difference between knowing of things and really understand. Okay, so I'm curious about the, if they were nice women, what is it that, why can't you envision more? Or do you mean they look good, but you don't like their personality? Or why can't you envision more? Hey, Esperanza. Oh, nice to see you, Tim. A long time ago. Mats is saying, it sounds like the difference between knowing of things and really understanding. Yeah, exactly. Knowing of things it's good to know things, but the problem is the mind comes in. I think this is one of the, I had someone write I'm going to answer him actually later. He wrote a really nice message to me with someone who had been kind of burnt out on non-duality. I get these messages all the time, people who start with non-duality and just messes with their minds. And I think the reason non-duality has gotten so popular in the West is because the mind can go in and say, okay, I can figure this out. It's kind of a way of saying that just give the mind something else to work with and use your mind to convince yourself that you don't exist. And then, so it's like we can, it's like you can use your mind to get out of this, which is not true. The mind is not the main issue here. The mind is just a effect of something else. And people get in trouble from doing that. I see JVB wrote, okay, not all modern spiritual teachers are made the same. No, of course not. I mean, there's some really nice teachers out there, absolutely, for sure. I'm not saying everyone is, but it's become the way that we teach. And I think one of the really destructive things also is the law of attraction, which I remember when the law of attraction came out, that movie, like in the early 2000s, and I was like, wow, it's amazing. And I thought it was so incredible, and I was really into it. But basically what they do, they miss the point, is that it's first of all, it's just another way of getting stuff. It's just another way of getting stuff. It still deals with the belief that if I could only make reality be like this, then I'll allow myself to be happy. It's a way of kind of tricking people into believing they're overcoming the sense of self by getting more stuff. And not to say that you can't get stuff that way, not to say it doesn't work. I'm just saying that it just misses the point. The Buddha made a big emphasis on how all of the things that we think are so important, they're not important in comparison to liberation. And being someone who constantly kind of goes back and forth between this pendulum of having very little sense of self and non-centeredness, or where there is no conflict, is another, almost a better way of saying it. There's no conflict in my life. And that doesn't mean I don't have any problems. It just means that my feeling of conflict is gone. Experiencing reality without conflict, when you feel unshakable and you're just walking around, moving, touching, smelling, talking, life is so much easier. And there's not this pressure that, oh my God, I need to make this right. I need to make this work, and I can't believe this thing here didn't work. Oh, if it doesn't work out, oh my goodness, I am so screwed. Imagine taking all of that away and feeling completely peaceful, content, calm, and then you decide if you want to deal with that. You might think, well, you know what, that thing that happened, I'm just going to let that go. It's not that important. Or actually, you know, that thing that was so difficult, I need to do something about that, because otherwise I lose my home, or someone will get in trouble, or I don't believe that's the way you should act. But it's without the self-reacting. It's without the idea that, oh, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to die or something terrible. Like, no one ever tells us what's going to happen that's so bad, but we all feel this feeling of, if I fail, or if this happened, or if they don't like me. Let's see, Mats is saying, I wasn't attracted physically to my last date. The date before only talked about herself all the time. And the one before had all sorts of problems in her life, which was pretty scary. Oh, cocaine addict, yeah, that's difficult. Could you combine them, like squish them all into one, and you have like the perfect girlfriend maybe? Not off topic, but I'm falling into a depression and feeling very bad, and advice would be lovely. What I found with depression and when things go up and down a lot, is that one of the things that is difficult for people outside who's never experienced that is that they believe it's, just focus on the flowers outside and everything will feel good. Just focus on the good things and it will disappear. The problem with depressions, I don't know how deep it is now, Nadia, and I hope it's not too bad. If it gets too bad, feel free to email me and we can talk. But really the problem with depressions is that we can't always fight them, meaning we can't always not make them happen, because it's almost like these waves that come, and then there is an up wave and everything feels easy, but then you start falling down, and it will be gradually all these triggers and markers that make you have a more difficult life, and you'll notice that all of a sudden the thing your partner says that didn't affect you before gets you super irritated, and all of a sudden you find that since when you were going to make food and you burnt the food, you feel terrible, you feel like a failure. All of these things kind of pile up. So my fiance sometimes has this, that she's not into depression, but she can get really dark with things, and things get difficult for her, and it's kind of annoying because I see that before she sees it. So she always says it's annoying that I see it. And it used to be very difficult for me as well. But what we've been able to do together is that I can see it. And then I know that I don't need to react towards her when she's behaving like this. So if you can talk to your partner and have him understand that it's not against him, it's not nothing personal, and really be there and try to minimize the things that he knows you find difficult. I mean, I have things I find my partner do very annoying sometimes. But I know also that when she's in a bad mood and when she's having a difficult time, I never talk about those things. There is no point in me bringing them up because I want her to be happy. It is my deepest wish that she live a happy life, that she can enjoy being with us as a family. And I know I enjoy life much more with her being happy than me being right. It's more important to me that she's happy than me being right in a discussion. So you can ask your partner to together with you find out what are the things that you find difficult and can he help that. Your job is to make sure that you don't throw shit everywhere. In spirituality, there's this idea that I should be true to myself. So whatever I feel, everyone should know that. I should be able to express myself. I shouldn't be afraid to be who I am. And then people take that into like, okay, when I feel angry, I should just yell and scream at everyone. I should say whatever I want, and it doesn't matter the consequences because I'm being true to my inner self. That is a really shitty way to live with someone who is like that. I mean, if someone is like that, that's a really shitty way of taking care of your relationship. It's not a good way to create a harmonious and happy relationship. So your job is basically to make sure that not pushing this down, but also not putting it on someone who doesn't deserve it. If you look at this, when you feel sad, when you feel down, what will happen is that you'll have a difficult feeling inside of you, and it's just a feeling. It's just a difficult feeling, and that difficult feelings, then when something happens, make you peg that with, okay, it's their fault. That's why I'm like this. So your job is basically to make sure that you handle yourself and minimize. It's impossible to not let it sip out, and like sap the energy of people around you completely. I mean, it's going to happen, but just try to minimize it. Try to keep it so that it doesn't affect them too much, and tell them about it. I mean, you have a lovely family, and I'm sure they would understand when things are difficult. So if you do those things from both sides, then you've kind of dealt with the relationship, because that is, I think, the most important thing. The closest thing to us is our family that we live in, since I know you live in a family. And then after that, the other part is to see it as these waves. They come and they go, and moods will come. One of the things that I let go of when I was a monastic and meditated all the time was the idea that I had any control over how I felt. Because it felt like I just came and went and came and went. Like all of a sudden I felt amazing and everything is so good, and then all of a sudden everything went bad. And it's not that I didn't have any control, but that the outside world made me feel this. And all of a sudden I would go down and feel absolutely terrible, and then I go up and I feel amazing, and then I would flatline, I'd be completely neutral and not feel anything, and I'd be numb, and then it was so amazing. And like this was just stuff happening, and it didn't seem to matter what happened around me. It just came by itself, and it was so absurd, the differences, that it was easy for me to detach from believing that this had any actual reason for being like this, which is where my whole process came from, in that we don't need to base our happiness on what's happening around us or inside of us. We don't. There is no such absolute correlation between that. So knowing that it's going to be difficult for a period of time, it could be good to keep a diary. Maybe I'm sure this is not the first time. What was it like the last time? Did it last for a day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months? 2 years? How long did this last, like the down period? And if you know that, okay, last time it lasted for 2 months or 2 weeks, or like many times it will only be a few days. If it feels like that, then you know that it's like that, and just prepare. Okay, now I'm aware, almost like you're going in with the flu. I know it's going to be difficult for a period of time, so I need to take care of myself. And then during this period, when it's going down and become more difficult, don't take on too much responsibility. Try to minimize the things you do that make it difficult for you. So there's a lot of things around this, but becoming aware of the process, having people around you be aware of it, can really help. Just gonna see Nadia saying it's difficult though because it keeps coming back, which makes you just want to give up. I understand. Thank you, Mats and Martin. That's how I feel, Matt. Life feels more difficult and bleak. Jordan Martin advice though. Let's see, Mats is saying, that's rough. Sorry to hear that, Nadia. When I see the dark clouds coming, I try to focus on the basics: sleep, food, calmness, being in nature and with friends. Everything is temporary. That's great advice, Mats. I'm actually part of like the whole process now that I started thinking about the forum and having, so we can actually talk more intimately on like a Zoom call and having a way to connect with people, is that one of the things I want to do is come up with, even though I try to not do this, I realize that people want something like this, is come up with some basic of how to take care of yourself. And when we work at school with people, kids who, I told you before, I work with kids who didn't go to school for long periods of time, it could be several years. And the first thing we do when we get in, we look at, do they eat properly? What kind of food are they eating? And secondly is sleep. Are they actually sleeping? And then we go into things like, how do they spend their spare time? Are they overusing their computer, telephones, gaming? There's like lots of other stuff, but one of the two things is just like Mats is saying, sleep and food, so important. Like sugar, like unfortunately it doesn't help. Really, I met someone who had schizophrenia, she said, at least, with, what's schizophrenia? I think, she had psychosis, and I think she said schizophrenia. Really serious stuff. Who ran a spiritual store in a town nearby. And she said she got rid of that completely by stopping to eat sugar and wheat, like fast carbohydrates, and it just disappeared. So, yeah. Let's see what else. Esperanza. I wish everyone could experience being rich and famous so that it wasn't the answer to... Yeah, exactly, Tim. That is true. Jim Carrey and the Law of Attraction. Yeah, he's has some nice things to say. Hey, Christian. Being rich and famous doesn't solve all our problems. It just makes certain things easier. Mats is saying, depression for me was like playing life on a more difficult mode. Everything is just way more difficult and bleak. So true. Because when you're feeling depressed, everything is difficult. Getting started doing something that before seemed like, I'm just going to do this thing now. It's like, I can't do it because it's such an obstacle to get started. The feeling of doing anything is there's this, like a bleak feeling, a heavy feeling that make everything feel anxious and difficult. So I've been there, Nadia. I promise you it will pass. I go and sit and meditate in nature when I feel really bad. Nature is really good also because it takes you away from all this stuff. I think social media, telephones, and our modern society is really good at making people feel bad. It's basically part of what they're trying to do. They're trying to make, I'm not talking about the Illuminati. I'm talking about how marketing works. It makes you feel bad so that you will find a solution to feeling bad, which would be buying a product or staying on a site. So I find I can breathe easier in nature environment. The drowning, suffocating feeling lowers. Hey, Mindful Mama, nice to see you. Sorry to hear, Nadia. I've been there and it regularly coming back. I do notice a different nowadays. And I can be more aware of my dark clouds coming. Yeah, becoming aware of it yourself. And also, like everyone is saying, also, it passes. That's easy to say now, but having the knowledge that it's not a permanent thing can really help. Esperanza say, I'm also dealing with depression at the time. As are a lot of people, I guess. So are you not able... So you are not alone, Nadia. Hope you get well soon. Andreas, I think it's hard to have a universal key to feeling better. I think it's your own path to find your tools together with other people's help. But you're the one who has to do the actual work. Exactly. And really, we all have the same underlying kind of computer system, like the functioning of how we work. It's very similar to people, but then there are individual variations of that. That means that some things work better for some people than others, but there are some universal things that help everyone feel better. The problem is that some of the things can make us feel worse at first. So for instance, something that I am convinced would help absolutely everyone feel better mentally is to stop eating sugar. I mean, I'm just completely convinced about this. Stopping to eat sugar will make anyone feel better mentally, physically, in every single way. But sugar is like a drug. So first of all, you're addicted. You can have a hard time stopping. And also there's the craving for it. So you're going to feel worse at first. Same thing with another thing I could say that everyone will be better mentally from doing is to use their phone less. Or stop using their phone altogether. Just stop using the phone. Check your Facebook or whatever it is you need to check on the computer instead of walking around constantly with information in your ear, constantly being bombarded by advertisement and thoughts and ideas of what you should or shouldn't do. But that's also difficult to do because we have all these reasons why we can, and when you take it away, there's a strong distortion, a strong pressure that stands between you and being able to feel good. And so putting away the phone feels like, no, that's my work for others, but not me. And you keep going back. But it is one of those things that universally make everyone feel better. Let's see. Then I don't push it away. Just notice it and feeling my partner about it helps. Yeah. For me, it helps to move, do a yoga or walk. Esperanza, physical activity can help tremendously also. Yeah, especially running. So moving is another great way to get out of difficult sensations or depression. That's why I always say when people have a lot of anxiety or feeling down, sometimes it's best not to meditate with your eyes closed or sitting down. The best meditation then is actually walking meditation. Like there are different ways of doing this, but doing walking meditation is incredible when you're feeling bad. Or like Tim is saying, something physically strenuous like running is incredible because you get out of your mind and you're doing something physically. I'm sure you heard of, what's his name? Wim Hof, like the Iceman. The hot and cold shower, like taking a cold shower is incredible for getting you out of being stuck in the state. Or a cold plunge is really good for getting you out of your mind. Doing those breathing exercises can be really good for changing your state so that it basically makes you have so much sensations from the breathing, his breathing method, that the distortions that you're feeling temporarily disappear. So that can be really good to overcome, or break a pattern, you could say. Right, that's right, Andreas, man, from Mama saying, but it's very nice to get some ideas, some handles to try it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's so many different ways of doing it. Wim Hof breathing can be awesome. Holotropic breath work in general. Yeah. I've never really been into breath work that strongly, even though I think it's really cool. The first time I tried it, I thought that I was going to explode. I just have so much strong sensations from it. And I find it interesting, and it can be a really useful technique for some things, for sure. And I think it can be good for feeling down. And it's nice to hear everyone. I'm very happy that people are sharing and coming up with thoughts. Mats, I cycled 38 kilometers yesterday and 33 today. Damn. Also tried to focus on my breath while cycling like I do while meditating. It was a really great experience, even though I'm feeling a little down at the moment. This goes together with what I was saying, like these like ups and downs. The problem is when we feel up, we're like, okay, I got it. I figured out what to do to feel good. And then we feel good for a while and we try to maintain that. And then it goes down and we think, oh no, I failed. I did something wrong. And then when you're feeling down, it's like, this is never going to pass. It's always going to be like this. It's always going to come back. And it's so difficult. That is a difficult thing to handle in one way because it feels like it always comes back. But it also has the perspective that it always goes away, because it will always go away. I also have it when it goes down. And I just, like I said now, a few weeks ago, I went through a really rough patch with something that happened outside. And it was very difficult mentally and emotionally to handle that because it's just such an absurd situation. But instead of getting lost in it, I could see, okay, I know this is going to pass. I make sure that I take care of myself. I make sure I don't make life miserable for my family because I know I'm having a rough time now. And then it passed, and now I feel good now. It's passing. Nadia, thank you so much, everyone. I'm overwhelmed by everyone's caring. Well, absolutely not. We care about you, and I can feel it's so nice for me also to from my perspective, hear everyone chime in, because I really believe that we're here together as a small family, and it's nice to feel that that it's not just me coming with all the answers and like me sitting here like, no, we're a group of people who all have lots of incredible experiences and viewpoints and ideas of how to handle this stuff, and we should help each other out. I mean that's why it's so nice for me to come here also, because I feel the same thing. I think it's incredible that everyone is like this, and I'm very happy about that. But for me, the feeling of my point was that don't be surprised about this. You're part of the family, Nadia, and everyone here is. Mats, for me, the feeling up was me letting my ego getting fed with all the attention I am getting. I externalized my feeling about myself and also got a kind of overwhelmed. Yeah, so this is a really good point, Mats. When my fiance came up with this really brilliant idea of saying this, I keep saying, okay, just enjoy life and learn how to feel good in your experience of now. And what she said, that she taught her yoga students, was that what's standing between you and joy? What's standing between you and enjoying being here? And I thought that's such a brilliant way of putting it, because it means that I say, just do that. But then that's not really true. You don't do feel good. You don't do enjoy. It's more that there's something blocking you from feeling what's underneath. Because a child, if you just leave a child alone, they'll enjoy, they'll feel happy, and they'll enjoy their experience. That's what's there. But then there's something that gets in between that breaks that. It might be that they hear a loud sound, or they get scared, or they see a computer and they start like, well, I want to do what they're doing, or they get habituated to getting something when something happens, that they believe after a while that I need to have this to feel this way. But what's underneath is this enjoyment. So it's not really about feeding the ego to get attention, to feel good or to feel up. I mean, many spiritual people who say they're on this high, that is not what I'm talking about, feeling good. That is the self being supercharged, like in a woohoo, and you feel so energetic, and there's a lot of distortion in that. The feeling good and enjoying that Mats is hinting at here as well is not something that you do. It's more that it's something that's there. So I really like, I think I'm going to start using that. It's what's in between you and enjoying. That there is something in between you and what's already there. So knowing that means that the depression, there is something making that happen that makes it so that the joy that is always there is not coming out. But that will pass. It's almost like a cloud drifting by, and eventually it'll go away. If you blow really hard at it, not much going to happen. But maybe if you move to the side, maybe if you take a rest, and it will pass. Meaning that there are things we can do, but it's not that you can really move the cloud always. It's behind that there's always sun. Esperanza, in my opinion, depression is not an illness but a symptom. To tackle the root cause is important. In quiet meditation we can reveal it. There are things that make that happen. The problem is that they can be so diffuse and so difficult to find. I mean, there is such a thing as I said, I think a lot of people have depression from food, what they're eating, from how they're using their telephones, from how they're living their lives, from how they're reacting towards the world around you. There's lots of stuff that can cause this, and it can be very difficult to pinpoint it. But I believe you're right in that. But I just needed more and more to keep up with the new level of self-worth. Yeah. Andres says, many years ago I was feeling very bad. I had already known about meditation, but didn't really believe it would help. Finally, I tried it after reading about other people's difficult journeys. Meditation teaches me to deal with difficulties in life that always arise. Yeah, so meditation is basically a way of slowing things down and be able to see the things that Esperanza was talking about. Mats, it's kind of like a fake joy. It's conditional, and the conditions are outside of you. The joy you always talk about is inside and always there, but sometimes hidden. It's just always, I just always lose focus of it. Exactly, yeah, it's something in between. Something is in between. All of a sudden you pick up your phone and you start watching, like, oh, look at that, that's really interesting, I want that. Or you go on a date and like, oh, that's like, and that thing gets in the way. So that's why I'm saying that the best thing you can do for anyone to make the world a happy place is not that you need to go out and change it. The best way you can make the world a better place is to feel good, to not have that thing in between you that makes it so that you can't enjoy life. Because when you enjoy life, it's very enjoyable to be around you. Your choices and actions won't be done by greed, hatred, anger, ill will, or the thing inside of you that wants to react towards the world around you. Because you are feeling good. So you take actions from what you believe is the right thing to do. The external joy is just so alluring and exciting. Exactly. And that's my point with the law of attraction. Is almost like, yeah, we know all of that stuff inside, but why not just get wealthy at the same time? Let's just get that done. So I'll get rich and then I'll get enlightened and liberated. Andreas, meditation. Oh yeah, I think it's difficult when you're inside the depression to figure out what it actually is to find the root cause. I first need to get going, doing something, even though I don't feel like it. Also a good point, just doing something. Yoga, gardening, walking in the forest, sometimes something that you know you liked before, even though there might not be joy in that right now. Eventually I recognize it again. Can take weeks, sometimes months, sometimes hours or days. This is the thing that I think people who haven't experienced depression or what it actually means to feel bad, like really bad mentally, is that they don't understand that when you're in that mood, when it's down, it doesn't really matter what you do. Everything feels bleak. Everything is grey. Things that used to bring you joy don't do anything. And it can be very difficult to break that. That's why I'm also saying that instead of fighting this period, see it as, okay, this is happening now. I feel bad now, and that's okay. But also move towards a direction where you're getting out of that. Start focusing on that. Okay, what's standing between me and joy right now? If you're sitting looking at your child playing, and you know that normally you like looking at your child playing, and then just try to find that little piece of joy. Like, where was it? Like, I can see her playing and she's painting. Like, well, that's nice. And then maybe engage with her and stop thinking about the thing that's bad. In other words, not like nestle into the badness and feeling bad, but actually moving towards something that you find joy. Like my mama is saying, like, take a walk, do yoga, go do gardening, and just do the actions. Be okay with it not feeling good. Don't take on like a big project that's going to make it more difficult for you. But yeah, also don't sit still, and then don't lock yourself in too much either. Thank everyone. There's some really nice points from everyone here. I think we all recognize how difficult it can be in that situation. And we're here for you, always. So, for those of you who are new, we normally start out having a little chat like this. I'm starting to get tired. Yeah, my mom said, and also recognize that you can't enjoy it right now. It's okay. For those of you who are new, we usually chat a little bit or talk like before we start. And then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a method to coming back to our senses. After that, we do, today's Monday, so it'll be a 20-minute guided meditation today. And if there's time afterwards, there'll be a quick discussion if anyone has anything to discuss. My voice is starting to give out, so it won't be too much longer. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is a way of coming back to our senses. And the way we do that is by observing the nuances of what we see. So we say out aloud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can touch. And it's a way of coming back to our senses from being in our mind, analyzing and understanding things. The way we do this is that so for instance, I say 1 thing that I can see. I see this thing here. This is a lens wipe that I use to clean my glasses. Now, if I would feel this thing is just a piece of like it's not worth anything. It's like you wouldn't normally give this any attention. If it's lying on the ground, there's no attention. But I see this packaging, and the way that I want you to look at things is without an emotional reaction. I just want you to just see things as they are through the senses. So this thing, I can see there's reflections, I can see there's texture, there's all this structure here on it, there's this thing happening here, there's all these black things printed here, and different colors, and this is ripped, and there's shadows, and now when I look at it here, like, wow, it's actually quite beautiful. When I look at that image, that's pretty cool. And then I can see the Lots of figures down here. And I can do this. There's some really nice reflections here, because when you start really seeing things as they are, everything becomes beautiful. A child would take this and go, whoa, look at this. It's amazing. It's like silver. Wow, this is like silver. It's very valuable. It's so cool. Look at that. And we go, no, that's just dumps. It's not worth anything. But they can actually see it for what it is. They can see the beauty in this thing here. So I see this beautiful thing here. I see a box of pens, markers, lots of colors. Same thing there, shapes, shadows, textures, reflections, surfaces. I see a remote control. And you do the same thing where you're sitting, say out aloud 5 things you can see. I see a pile of paper. And I see a t-shirt. So much stuff happening on a t-shirt. Oh my goodness. Wrinkles and shapes and shadows. That's really cool, actually. 5 things that I could see. Next we take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel the hair on my arm. I can feel the tingling, I can feel the touch, and I can also feel on my arm, I can feel the touching. There's two sides to what I'm feeling. I can put the fingers on and actually really move. See, what does that feel like? And really have a kind of childish curiosity or like not knowing what it feels like, because like, oh, I've done this so many times. But really like the freshness of touching yourself. That sounds bad. Touching your arm for the first time. Like, what does that actually feel like? And really feel it, really experience it. It's really nice experience. I feel the plastic on my whatever this is. Yeah, this plastic on my glasses. Very smooth, very slippery. And I can feel liquid going down my throat. Interesting experience. Those are 4 things I could feel. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. I can hear some kind of bubbling that sounds like it's coming from the heat pump. I hear cars passing. And I hear a fan. And let yourself be caught up by these experiences. Really focus on what it feels like to experience your senses. It's because we're so used to thinking and analyzing our senses instead of actually being our senses and experiencing them. It will really help you to come into feeling now what it feels like to be in this experience right now. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I'm not sure I can smell anything with my nose being as clogged as it is. But let's try. Excuse me. I can smell furniture in sunlight. And some fruity scent as well. And lastly, we take one thing that we can taste. Taste saliva. So I want you to start focusing on the experience of breathing. Focus on feeling what it feels like to draw breath in and to let breath out. Just bring your awareness to your breath. Now, we're not trying to control the breath. We're not trying to make the breath do anything in particular. We're just trying to be aware of breath happening, however that may be happening, in no particular way. At first, it might seem a little bit silly to do this because breath is happening all the time, you might think, but just bringing your awareness to something as simple and pure or clean as your breath is more difficult than it might seem at first. As soon as you start focusing on the breath, you'll notice that there will be thoughts, there will be feelings coming in that distract you. There will be things pulling your attention away from just observing the breath. Maybe something happened just before you sat down and listened to this stream. Maybe something happened yesterday that you can't stop thinking about. Or maybe you just have an unpleasant feeling that's rumbling around inside of you, making it difficult for you to be aware of your breath. When that happens, it might actually be difficult to observe the breath because it can almost be painful. Because what happens is that you're now aware of what's happening inside of you. And one of the things that's happening inside of you is that it feels uncomfortable right now because of that thing that happened. Or maybe there's worry about something that's going to happen tomorrow or tonight, or fear of something that might happen at any time in the world. But if you look at that, you'll see that it's only a sensation inside of you. That's all it is. It's just a pressure, a wave, a kind of distortion or incongruency with being here that is happening and staying in between you and enjoying being here, enjoying observing your breath. Because without that difficult sensation, you know from experience that observing your breath is enjoyable. It's a nice experience. But there is something in between. We can look at the reason of what's in between, and that might be that before you sat down, you got a difficult phone call, something has happened, someone told you something you didn't like. But if you really look at it, the real problem is not the phone call, it's not the information, it's the pressure, the distortion, the tension that's happening inside of you. That's what's making it difficult to observe the breath. And once you've observed this enough times, there will be a part of you that goes, wait a minute, this is a pretty silly thing to do. Why on earth am I ruining my life like this? And as soon as you realize that, you'll see that, wait a minute, this is dumb, but why can't I stop doing it? I keep doing this stuff even though I don't want to. Just because you understand the concept, just because you've seen it, doesn't mean that it's easy to do. But by observing over and over and over again, seeing how it changes, seeing how it comes and goes, seeing that you have the choice, ultimately, to choose what's happening inside of you, will make it easier. It will make it easier to deal with difficult things happening around you. It is important to have patience and forgiveness towards yourself, to see that the mistakes we make are actually the best way for us to learn. If you didn't have the bad feeling, it would actually be very difficult to let go of the sense of self. You need the polarity. You need to see how painful it is to walk around with that pressure, with that tension inside of you, to be able to let go of it. For most people who live their lives without any difficulties, they have it also. It's just that it's so small or so manageable that they don't think about it. They feel tension when they wake up and make breakfast for the kids and rush. They feel tension when they're in the car driving to work. They feel tension and pressure when they're at work and need to complete their task. They feel tension when they need to stress through their lunch. They feel tension when they go to work back again and finish the tasks that they had from the morning. And they feel tension when they go home and they worry about what's going to happen with the kids. And they feel tension when they make the food. They feel tension, and finally they sit down on the sofa and take a beer or drink something or take some food or some sugar to get away from that feeling. And then they go to bed and sleep, and then they start over the next day again. Until that person breaks in a certain way, it won't really be a problem. You can live like that. But for most of you who are here, you've experienced how difficult and how incredibly painful this is. Which is why all of us are looking for a way to enjoy life more. And one of the ways to make that happen is to observe your breath and learn to enjoy just the experience of something so simple and everyday as your breath. It's always there. It's always happening. You cannot stop it except for short periods of time, because you will die. Now, to make it easier to do this, we will do a technique where we count our breaths from 1 to 8, then down again from 8 to 1. If you find it difficult to observe your breath, you can also focus on the lights that you see behind your closed eyes. You can listen to the sounds in your ears. There's always some sound happening in your ears. There's always some light behind your eyelids, even if you're in a dark room. For this meditation, we'll focus on our breath and as we're breathing in and out. So I'll do the exercise together with you one time, and then you can continue by yourself. So breathing in and out. 1. In and out. 2. In and out. 3. In and out. 4. In and out. 5. In and out. 6. In and out. 7. In and out. 8. In and out. 7. In and out. 6. in and out. 5, in and out. 4, in and out. 3, in and out. 2, in and out. 1. Now keep counting your breath from 1 to 8, and then down again from 8 to 1 as you breathe in and out. 1, in and out. as you're sitting there, observing your breath, ask yourself if you're not feeling enjoyment, if you're not feeling good as you're doing this enjoyable thing of observing your breath. Ask yourself what's in between. What is it that is preventing you from feeling the joy of observing your breath? Usually there will be something that happened, some incident or something that's on your mind. Someone said something before, or you read something in the news, or there's something that happened before that is blocking your ability to feel the enjoyment of observing your breath. See if you can find the thing that is doing that. What is it that's in between you and joy? Is it a belief? Is it a thought? Is it something that happened? Whatever it is it something that you believe is important enough, or something that you believe makes it so that you are not allowed to feel good now? Is it something that has that kind of gravity that you believe it's worth ruining this moment because of that thing? And if you think it is, then ask yourself, when will it not be? Because there is only this experience. Time flows, something changes, meaning it's not always this moment, but it is always just this moment. An ever-changing and evolving moment that's moving, but it's just this moment. So if you choose to not feel good now, it means that when you will allow yourself to feel good, it will also be now. You can only feel good now. You can only enjoy being alive now. You can never enjoy anything outside of now. So why wait? What is the reason that you're not allowing yourself to feel that right now? And if you really look at it, you don't even need to figure that out. You don't need to understand why. You can simply choose to enjoy being here. Sometimes difficult to look at that, sometimes difficult to let that happen, but it is within your control, even though it might be difficult for you to do it right now. But you will eventually be able to do it right now. Keep looking and see if you can tune your awareness to enjoyment, to just feeling good for no apparent reason right now. Feel free to keep on sitting if you want to, or have a cup of tea, ask some questions, tell me about your meditation. So we're saying I have to pop off this evening, but I wanted to check if you hold my questionnaire back. Me and IT don't go together. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. So I don't see actually who has been sending it as sending the questionnaires in, because they're anonymous. But I mean, I can see if someone from the UK has sent it in. And if you wrote something about dogs, then I know it's you. By the way, those of you who haven't responded, there is still the questionnaire. You can find it in the... I'm not sure how to find that now, actually. Yes, here we go. I'll send it. There's a questionnaire that I'm doing for the forums. Let's see. Is it this one? Yes, so this is a questionnaire that I'm doing for the forums that we're creating. It will be a forum where we can discuss things like this, where we will be able to get together. There will be monthly Zoom calls and have some other ideas, and there, some workshops and things I want to do there also. But I want to find out. It's actually been very helpful, because I found out that, well, I won't share that now, but it's quite interesting to see what people actually want rather than what I believe they want. So if you have the time, please fill in the questionnaire, and it will help me to better make something that's useful for you. I've had many people ask me questions about creating a Patreon or something like that, but I don't want to just create more videos for people. I actually want to create something that's useful and that people can really use as a way to feel better. And I think a forum and workshops, or like monthly Zoom calls, which would basically be group coaching, is something much better than just creating more videos. JVB, I have this belief where I think I won't survive if people don't accept me. This belief causes a bit of anxiety. Survive, meaning get a job, not be lonely, etc. And this is, how do I not let anxiety consume me because of this belief? I mean, this is a really primal belief that we're talking about. Let me think. So your question is, how do I not let it consume me? One of the ways that I like doing this is that you're saying, I'm worried about not having a job, about being lonely. So if you in your meditation throw it around and you sit down and you say like, okay, what does it feel like to have absolutely no job? To lose my job, what would happen? And just go down that route. Oh, I'd lose my job. I'd be without a home. I'd be out in the street. I'd be living. Something would happen. And I would live in a tent. What that does, and if I didn't meet anyone, I'd be lonely for the rest of my life. It means I wouldn't have a partner. I wouldn't have a family. I wouldn't have children. And there's like this fear coming from this. But if you look at it, the way that it helps to imagine the worst thing scenario, and I don't mean don't try to make yourself feel bad. What you'll see is that it would simply be things happening. Well, you didn't have a job. Okay, you would lose your house. Okay, you'd go out on the street. Okay, you'd get a tent, and you'd have to. It makes it kind of, instead of being this incredibly terrible thing, you would see, oh, just this happening, this happening, this happening, this happening, this happening, this happening, and then you write a book about it and become a millionaire. I'm just kidding. I don't know what you do with it. But the point is that it helps you to. Wait, did I miss something here? It helps you to not see it just as this ominous big thing. Actually going down the route where you will see that the thing you fear is fear itself, the anxiety. That's the thing that's most difficult. And it will make it more likely that you'll be single for the rest of your life. It will make it more likely that you lose your job. If you feel that fear instead of seeing like, hey, I don't need to feel this. I still can't control it. I still can't decide what's going to happen. But actually facing it and looking at it now and not letting it control you will make life a lot easier. That is actually a question that can go really deep, and we can continue a lot with that. But I think for today I'll just leave it there, because I'm getting tired as well. And we can definitely talk about that next time. Thank you, Sue. Nice to see you. Not to hang in there. I mean, we all need each other, right? Sorry, I didn't follow that follow-up question, JV. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tonight. Have a good night. Hope you will find a glimmer soon again, Nadia. I'm starting to feel so tired as well. I'm actually having a hard time keeping my thoughts together. And it's kind of late. JVB, try that until next time. See what happens if you actually allow yourself to go down the route. What would happen? And not be fearful of it. Because the thing is, you will see that, oh, it will just be lots of things happening. I don't need to feel bad. And it hasn't happened. It's just a thought. And the cleaner, the happier you can be inside of yourself, the less likely it is like something like that will be happening. Good night, everyone. Yes, people are writing. Sorry, I'm getting messages here. Thank you, everyone, for today. And I'm sorry, I'm feeling a bit drowsy. I need to sleep. But I'm very nice to be back, and I'm happy to see everyone here. And it's nice to see everyone coming together and helping when one of us are feeling a little bit down. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you on Thursday.